Shakea. Can you hear it, Denisha?
I can hear. Oh, turn it down.
Hello, world. This is Americana. I'm your host, Willie Montague.
And I'm Shakea Hinton.
All right. Well, as you know, we definitely do not tiptoe around the truth here. We tackle it, and this show isn't for the faint of heart. It's for those unafraid to think, question, and lead. So buckle up, y'all. It's time to get into it. This is Americana. All right, y'all already know this is definitely going to be a hot topic show today. Foreign aid freeze, America first, or abandoning allies. Then we're going to talk about the Affordable Care Act, if it's really Affordable Care Act, and education shakeup, parental rights or cultural crisis, and then to head it all home, the controversy between capitalism and socialism. Shakea, it's time to get all the way into it. We're talking about these foreign aid freezes, America first, or is this abandoning allies? I'm gonna let you take this. What do you think is going on? What do you think is going on with this Trump aid? Trump does propose cuts and restructuring the several foreign aid programs, arguing U.S. tax dollars must benefit Americans first. So what do you think? See, Trump is trying to put us first, Shakea. Why we don't believe that?
Well, I don't think the American people believe that anymore. Let's just start there.
You come right out the gate.
Right out the gate. I honestly don't think the American people believe that Trump is putting Americans first. Most recently, as of this morning, he met with a Saudi prince to talk about selling some type of jets or something like that that would eventually equate to over $1 billion. Now, how is that putting America first? Also, we have a lot of allies that we have abandoned. America is known for providing health aid to foreign countries, to help them with the AIDS crisis, natural disasters. If we end up pissing these people off, that could eventually backfire on the American people. So how will that put Americans first?
But Shakea, you do know that some of this U.S. aid stuff had things in there. I think it was stuff about condoms or like just random stuff.
Of course, because that ties in with sexual
But you know what?
protection.
This is what I have to say. We have a declining economic situation here in the United States.
I'm so glad you admitted that. Did y'all hear that? Can we replay that? Say that again.
You can replay it all you want, but that didn't come from
we're
Trump.
in a decline.
That didn't come. That came from sleeping Joe Biden, who stayed.
Now let's not talk about nobody sleeping, Willie, because he was just caught on camera asleep last week.
Trump gets a little tired,
you
but
know
not
what?
as long as sleeping Joe.
Hypocrisy. I cannot.
Not as long as sleeping Joe Biden was in office. Our economy has been in a place of thriving. But what I would say is that it should not be the Americans, people's taxpayer dollars that is being used in some of these countries. That's not being an ally. That's being a crutch.
Oh, so what pot of money should it come from? So are you saying that the taxpayers' dollars should not, or our support for foreign needs should not happen altogether?
We need to be concerned about domestic needs.
Ooh,
Shakea.
Domestic
needs.
Ooh.
We have right now in the United States where, as we talked about yesterday, where we have places like Charlotte, North Carolina, we have places like Chicago. One of them places. But we have places like Chicago where it is ran down, even places like Detroit where it's ran down because we have these radical leftist nutcases running the city, and then we want to go to Trump and say that Trump is the problem. Do you really think that Trump is the problem, or people don't want to take accountability for their action in these local places?
I think both things can be true at the same time. I think Trump is a complete nutcase, in addition to his billionaire friends who he continues to bail out. The reason why a lot of these leftists or radical leftists, as y'all say, places are hurting is because Trump is withholding funding from his very own people. If you oppose Trump, he has blatantly said that he will not send federal aid to his own American people.
But you know what?
Did he not?
What's the
But Willie, did he
what's
not?
the attorney general in New York? She did the same foolishness and used the judicial system against President Trump and the people who were supporting him. So what would be the difference in someone saying, listen, if you want something from me, you're going to have to respect me? That's the power.
I look forward to talking about New York soon, because New York has reinvigorated the country with this major win that they just came across 2 weeks ago. So I cannot wait.
Look, she did a little shimmy in that.
A little shimmy in that. I cannot wait.
I would love to see this. But let's go on, Shakea, to your Affordable Care Act and the American people. We are 6 weeks away from some of the Affordable Care Act, ACA, premiums expiring. Shakea, let's talk about these premiums expiring.
Let's talk about it. So, do you have asthma or any type of condition that would cause you to go seek medical attention? And you don't have to disclose this because I know we're on TV.
Yeah, okay, I don't have asthma.
Okay, you don't have asthma. Okay, so anyone who would have had asthma or diabetes or cancer for that matter would have been denied health care if it wasn't for the Affordable Care Act. If we remove the Affordable Care Act from folks, they would stand the chance of not being insured. Am I wrong?
What happened
or am
to
I
the
right?
private sector insurance that we had before the Affordable Care Act? Because when this first came out, this was my concern, is when is it that we stop sucking on the titties of the government and we start doing what we need to do to be responsible as the United States citizens and the money that we have to be able to shop for our own insurance? Why do we have to keep breastfeeding from the government? I just don't get it.
I love the sexual innuendos that the Republican Party continues to have. What is up with y'all in this fetish?
I'm sorry if the Democrats is dry and they don't have nothing going on for themselves.
I cannot. And I you know what? I won't get off tangent. Let me stay focused because you will take me there and I won't allow you to do that to me.
For the people.
However, the ACA, the premiums were skyrocketing before the ACA was even enacted, right? So the last 14 years, the Republican Party has had a chance to repeal and provide another solution for our health insurance, and they have yet to do that.
But that's not actually true, because that conversation was had during the whole time of voting for the Affordable Care Act when that time came with President Obama. And what happened during that time was the same way now when Democrats like to throw a hissy fit and they want to get up there and talk and read Dr. Seuss for hours and hours, thinking that somehow that is going to trigger a vote on the floor. So to be honest with you, I think that this has been something where the Democrats has not been doing their part. Now they want to be the heroes or sheroes or zeros, because here we are now in the midterm coming up and they want to be able to win elections. So now they want to be the heroes of senior citizens and people with disabilities. They're not heroes.
Well, Willie, to be fair, the ACA allowed the seniors, the veterans, the children to be insured. The ACA allowed parents to keep their children on their insurance plan to 26 years old. Millions of Americans were able to access health care because of the ACA. Rural America, if you were to remove the ACA, rural Americans would hurt the most. Why? Because hospitals are actually paid, I want to say, by Medicaid or Medicare, and it will essentially allow them to close down. So
but we have
why
laws,
would you hurt?
We have laws, Shakea. You can walk into a hospital right now with zero insurance and they have to see you.
Yes, they have to see you.
They have to see
However,
you.
that patient would be in debt.
No.
Yes.
Because
Willie.
I'm
Willie.
serious. There are funding set aside. They have grants and charity opportunities for people who cannot afford this. But when do we start going back to local charity, love? When do we go back to the local government, our state government doing their part too? Why do we keep wanting the federal government to come in? As I said before, it's like we're draining the nipples of the government, and then we want to call this, you know, America. It's not, because our children, right now, if you look at the numbers, $100,000 per every person that is born and not yet born is going to be responsible for the $1 trillion of debt.
The ACA is not government run. It is more like a free marketplace, kind of like banking and car insurance. A free marketplace? Car insurance and banking. That is more so of choice, right? If you remove that choice, what's the replacement for that?
Shakea,
what is the not the $2,000 checks that Trump is promising people?
We were going to be penalized if we never got Obamacare. In the beginning of it, they were going to penalize and fine us if we didn't sign up for this government overreach.
No.
It was. It is true. It's facts.
No.
No. Well, no. I'm telling you, it's facts.
ACA actually stabilize the marketplace.
I call it fake news, but we do got to go to it. We do got to go to it. Fake news, people, fake news. We have to take a quick commercial break, but we are going to come back discussing education shakeup, parental rights or cultural crisis, and the controversy between capitalism and socialism. Y'all stay ready. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Americana, you guys. All right, y'all see we rocking and rolling. And speaking of that, education shakeup, parental rights or cultural crisis, let's talk about it. Trump push for school choice, curriculum transparency, and restrictions on classroom ideology has ignited battles in school boards nationwide.
Ciao.
Let's have that conversation. Why does it seem like Democrats want to over-sexualize our poor little ones?
Says the man who just said titties on camera. The hypocrisy with your party is just
There's no
astounding.
elementary school student that's sitting here watching this. I'm talking about in the classroom.
So when did talking about sexual reproduction become so touchy-feely? When I was in school, you and we come from the same generation. We had sex ed. Did we not?
Let me ask you this question.
Willie, yes or no?
Yes.
Okay.
But Shakea, this stuff is talking and teaching boys how to have oral sex with each other. I was not taught that in middle school.
I don't know about that curriculum, but what I'm talking about is when we were in school, sex ed was a part of our curriculum. We talked about the anatomy. We talked about our body parts. Girls learned about their menstrual cycles. It was not over-sexualized. Now, there may be some schools who may not be public, who may not be funded, publicly. They may go into a little further detail. That's where you get the permission slips. We're going to be talking about STDs today. And with that conversation, you have to talk about the intercourse. So I don't know what your party is talking about as far as like sexualizing sex, like the reproduction, but that is a part of society. That's a part of our human nature.
But when it comes to Shakea, it goes so far, but I mean, what do you have to say when they're having and bringing drag queen reading hour into the school? You think that that's part of normalizing our elementary
What does that have to
students?
do with sexual reproduction?
Because right now we're talking about education, period, about the curriculums and things coming in. And
But we're not talking about curriculum. You're talking about sex.
Yes, and then now moving on to why is our children being over-sexualized with having drag queens read a book?
That's being done in schools, or is that being done at reading time at Barnes and Noble?
No, that wasn't Barnes and Noble. Some of these schools were having drag queen reading hours.
Okay, so is that like a one-off thing, or are you saying that that is prevalent across the country?
Probably in some of the woke states, but not in Florida.
Probably. So woke, you talked about woke yesterday. It's amazing how we have really taken that word, that phrase woke. It doesn't even mean what most of the Republicans think that it means.
It does now.
It doesn't.
We're the new Webster.
Oh, do you know that you're a black man? do I have to remind you every day that you are a black man?
I'm Aborigine.
Oh, we'll talk about that on another topic. But going back to school choice, if we remove the topic of sexualization about drags coming in, teaching kids about whatever, school choice is actually hurting public schools. That would be removing funding from the public schools, which would eventually cause public schools to shut down in certain communities. I am actually for parents to make a decision on where they feel their student or their child.
That's what school choice.
Absolutely. However, there is always a nuance with the Republican Party when they present something. It's almost like they're throwing a rock and hiding their hand, or doing quid pro quo. So it's like if we give you this, we have something behind our back that's going to
cost. So what's behind our back?
Well, the shutting down of public schools, which would in turn
no one is saying
hurt black and brown communities.
No,
you want to talk about it?
You know why the black and brown community is hurting from these public schools is because the same person who invented public schools is the same one who outlined or got this idea from prison. And so when we talk about black and brown students, I believe that we would be better served if we were like we were back in the day when it was a one classroom setting in churches, and they thrived in that way.
We need to separate church and state. We're not talking
there is
about,
no such thing as stop with that.
We are not doing that. That's in the Constitution.
No, it is
the Constitution
not.
that y'all love to talk about.
That was not in the Constitution. We're going to talk about that on another show. But I want to understand, why is it so bad for parents to make their own decisions for their children, educate? That should not be talked about in classrooms. We need to have classrooms that talked about reading, math, getting back to those things that mattered, and core principles and foundations. We have gotten so far away that in fact, most of the teachers these days will teach, this is why I love Florida, they are teaching the students how to hate the country they live in.
Willie, if you really believe that, then you are a part of the problem.
No, I'm a part of the solution.
You are a part of the problem because the same history that you are talking about is what you grew up learning about. You grew up learning about the founding fathers of this country. You learned about the Pledge of Allegiance. You learned about the whitewashing of how America was built. What the teachers are doing now is bringing both how America was built and how it was built on the backs of black people, like your ancestors.
But who is trying to get rid of that?
So why is it a problem when we talk about both? One party.
No one said that it's a problem with talking about both.
That is considered to be woke now because we're hurting the feelings of white people who get offended when you talk about black people and what we've contributed to this country. That is a hill I would die on. How about that?
Well, I don't want you to die today. You got to finish the show. But I do want to know, why is it that you feel like that is really what the Republicans push that narrative? Because it's not true.
It is, really. So I will say, I had the privilege of doing both. I went to both a public school and a private school. Why is that? My mother felt that I would have a more potent education that aligned with our Christian values. However, my start was in public school. When you send your kid to a private school, you were considered to be elite. You were a part of the upper echelon class. I come from a middle class family, right? So me going to both a public and a private school, I know on both hands what it feels like to have both of those types of education.
Well, I went to a public school. It was disastrous. I'm off a private school. Y'all send y'all kids where you want to go. We got to move on to the next topic.
Ooh,
the controversy between capitalism and socialism it is now starting. It's it has been 2 weeks since Mama Tommy, the mayor-elect, has become New York mayor's-elect. I'm going to let you have that.
Zoran Mamdani.
Thank you. See, it's always the people that stick together that know each other's name. So anyway, the nutcase is the mayor-elect in New York. Why is it that Republican Party fear the mayor-elect? So why do you think we fear?
Tell me. Why
I do not fear. Do you think that
can't even pronounce the man's name correctly? It's so disrespectful.
It's not important to me.
It's so disrespectful.
It's just not important. But I just want to understand, why would you think that we fear it?
It's not that I think. Trump has blatantly said he's called this man a communist. He is called both, not both, but he's called him a communist. All the things that reflect fear. Trump is known that if he is intimidated by somebody or if he is upset that they don't align with his views, he goes to name calling. Am I right?
Now,
we've seen that. History proves that to be correct now.
Fake news. But I want to go that well. How you doing, Papa? But this is what I want to say. I want to understand to you why you think that we are in fear of this man when we're more in fear of what he's going to do to New York City.
I think we don't realize that America is already socialist. And what I mean by that is the Republicans, they talk about, like, they attack socialism on all, like, defending veteran benefits, Medicare, public schools, all of that, but that is actually socialism, Will. And so Mamdani, can you say his name?
Mamdani. But let me say this.
Mamdani actually is for the working class, and he wants...
how much he paid you for this?
He hasn't paid me anything, but he can. What's up?
How much he paying for you to say this?
He's not paying me anything.
You know what is disastrous? Socialism, overall, it does not work. Communism does not work.
Capitalism works if there is a balance, Will. Honestly.
And
it boils down who controls
this is a
resources
country,
and how the wealth is distributed.
But you know what?
Who controls resources and how it's distributed.
Do you know what he wants to do?
Please tell me, since you don't know anything about him. Since you don't know anything about him, please tell me.
A socialist individual that if it's up to him, every single thing in that place is going to be free. The people are going to probably be around there just broke and pitiful, worse conditions than they have ever been before.
So who would hurt most from that?
The same people.
I'm
gonna be honest with you. Do you think? No, I want y'all to answer this question. I want you to ask the people out there.
I'll answer it since he won't answer.
No. Those
billionaires will hurt worse.
It's gonna be the everyday working people that's gonna hurt from this, because he don't care about black or brown people. He cares only about his race and his religion.
He doesn't care about black and brown people.
He doesn't. I'm serious. When it all gets down,
you don't know much about him.
When it all gets down to it, I know enough to tell you that he's a clown. And when it gets down to it, Shakea, he is not going to be concerned about a black, brown person or anything that revolves around anybody that's outside that religion.
Why does his faith? Okay, so I didn't even bring up religion. So it again, fear. Why does the Muslim faith really?
But you
want to cut me off? Okay, you can cut me off. We can finish this tomorrow.
We're gonna get it another day. We're gonna get it a day. That's all, y'all, for the day on Americana. I'm your host, Willie Montague.
And I'm Shakea Hinton.
I'm grateful you spent your time digging for truth with us. We'll be back tomorrow, same time, same place, right here on AFRO TV. Until then, stay firm, think freely, and never trade truth for comfort. Have a good night.
Mamdani, call